for a conversation on the psychological burden that Nigerians have been carrying as a result of the ongoing protests across the country. We are now being joined from Nigeria's premier institution of higher learning, the University of Ibadan, by Dr. Jibril Abdulmalik, a consultant psychiatrist at the University College Hospital, UCH Ibadan. Good morning, Dr. Abdulmalik, and thank you for joining us on the morning show. Good morning. Hello, Dr. Abdulmalik.
Good morning, sir, and thank you very much for having me. Good morning, Abiola.
Yes, I can hear you. Well, the entire country is in turmoil. Angry Nigerian youths are on the streets, and we're expressing concern about chaos and anarchy and how that can affect the mental health of Nigerians. How serious is the situation in your view, considering the fact also that the helpline that was announced by the Feminist Coalition, which is a major part of this protest, items 4, 5, and 6 in the helpline talk about mental health and how people who are involved in the protest can seek help in terms of their mental health. What's your take?
Right. Thank you very much. It's very important that the World Health Organization defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So what that translates into is that health sits on a tripod on 3 legs. One leg is physical health, the second leg is mental health, and the third leg is social well-being. As Nigerians generally, we tend to focus almost exclusively on our physical health, and we neglect our mental or emotional well-being as well as our social well-being. Now, what these NSAS protests and the pent-up anger, anarchy, and all of this is showing is that our mental well-being as individuals, our social well-being as a community is not healthy. We are not healthy. And that is what is coming to the fore. The protest by itself also has a lot of implications for our mental well-being. But maybe I'll touch upon that a little further subsequently. But it's important. This is just a manifestation of the fact that as a society, we are not enjoying good mental and social well-being. And that is what is coming to the fore now.
Would you agree that what we're witnessing is varying forms of nihilism? I'd like you to talk about that. And if it is, what are the causes in our youths and how can it be addressed?
Right. Thank you very much. I wouldn't go so far as to say that it is nihilism, because that is like a strong desire to stop existing, so to speak. So I think that's a bit on the extreme end of the spectrum. Rather, what we are seeing is the fact that, let's not forget that this is a build-up of several factors. One major factor is COVID-19 pandemic, which has practically turned our world upside down. And it has disrupted life as we once knew it. Several individuals, so COVID-19 by itself has a lot of mental and emotional complications that the WHO and everybody is struggling to grapple with. So when you superimpose that on the economic hardships, the difficulties, and the police brutality going on, I think that was just the lightning rod. And we also have university students who have been at home. I'm also a university lecturer who have been at home for more than 7 months. So that pent-up anger, frustration, uncertainty, I think that is what is boiling over, not necessarily nihilistic ideas or behavior.
How can we start to help a lot of people decongest this mental congestion that is happening?
Right, thank you very much. I think the biggest challenge we have as Nigerians is that we do not pay attention whatsoever to distressing. We go to work Mondays to Fridays for those who are employed or have businesses. On Saturday, we attend 10 marriage ceremonies and birthday parties. On Sundays, we go to church, and now some Muslims also go to Nasfat. And after church service, and after that, you have committee meetings. So we work 7 days a week. and we are busy. No time for relaxation, no time for distressing. We don't have recreational parks. We don't go for walks. We don't exercise. We don't have family time. When you have this baseline pattern of behavior, and you then have stressors like we have now with COVID-19, with police brutality, with economic hardships and all of that, the result you get is an explosion of anger, anarchy, irritability, and so on. So what I think we need to begin to do as individuals, as communities, as a society, is to begin to pay attention to our mental well-being with respect to preventing problems. So what do I mean? You can go for a walk. You don't need to have a gym subscription. Free up your weekends to rest and relax and spend time with your loved ones. There are many things you can do. Avoid drug abuse, okay? Exercise regularly. When you exercise, it makes you feel good. It lifts your mood, makes you feel healthy, and relaxes your tension in your muscles. So these are simple things that we need to do. And we are also losing our social support. We used to have an extended social support, family support that helps us, bridges the gap when we are frustrated. Now every family is almost nuclear. So that is also a sort of safety net that we used to have that we are losing. So these are the challenges.
Well, Dr. Abdulmalik, on October 13, exactly a week ago, the Inspector General of Police, after disbanding the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, talked about every disengaged SAS official coming to Abuja. And for what purpose? For psychological management, evaluation, and reorientation. Well, since then, we have not had any additional information from the Office of the Inspector General of Police, whether that process has started. But when the police talks about psychological management, evaluation, and reorientation, what does that involve?
Thank you very much. I think this is this is like lashing the hatches after the horses have already bolted. The question we should ask respectfully is how many mental health professionals are employed by the Nigerian police nationwide? How many psychiatrists do they have? How many clinical psychologists do they have? I can bet my salary that they have less than 5 or thereabouts. Now that is pitifully few for men who face armed robbers, carry weapons, their life is at risk from time to time, in danger. They need to have psychological support, evaluation, and to ensure that they are even fit to carry weapons. That is the starting point, not when they commit atrocities. And in any case, it is practically impossible to ask all the former SAS officials to go to Abuja. How many psychiatrists and psychologists are in Abuja? If you pull those in National Hospital, Teaching Hospital, everywhere together, I'm sure I don't think they'll be up to 20. Now, what would have made more sense, apologies if that sounds disrespectful, what would have been more practical, I mean to say, is for them to say that for those who have accusations against them, let them report to the closest facility that have mental health professionals for evaluation and assessment. And what that will entail will be a complete and thorough evaluation of their mental and emotional stability, their well-being, their fitness to carry arms. This is one major thing, both within the armed forces as well as the Nigerian police force and every security agency that carries arms, that I think is grossly overlooked. We don't pay attention to their emotional well-being and their stability to carry arms. We know anecdotally that most barracks are the places where there's a lot of drug abuse, alcohol, and all of that. And yet these individuals bear arms. Who is evaluating them to ensure they are fit to do this? We are not paying attention to this. So I think we need to rethink the strategy, not just when atrocities happen, but from the very beginning. It needs to be strategic, systematic, and built into the structure and normal functioning of all our security services.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, I'm relieved actually, that you dismissed nihilism as a theory here. But can you give us a mental profile of the Nigerian youths today? I don't like to speak of them in in a monolithic way, because obviously, like I said earlier, there are varying degrees and there are different types within this demographic. But can you tell us what exactly that we're dealing with amongst the youth? What is their thinking? And also, I want you to address different issues of mob mentality that's going on at this point as well. Can you give us some kind of mental profile?
Right. Thank you very much. What's important for us to appreciate is that the driving force of every society and every progressive nation is the young population. But what motivates young people is a very important ingredient. That ingredient is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. Hope that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And that major ingredient is what we are not offering to our young people. They see several individuals graduate from universities and there are no jobs. They are in school, spend 3 months in school, 7 months at home because of one strike or the other. And so many of our young people are frustrated. They are angry, bitter, and resentful. And most importantly, they don't have any hope that tomorrow there's a better future awaiting them. And when you have this profile, what you see, which makes me understand perfectly why you are referring to nihilism, is an end picture where they simply do not care. And they may be ready to take risks, burn things, destroy things, because in any case, what's in it for them? That is the problem we have, and that's the narrative our government has to adequately and urgently change. And we hope that the media will also help in this regard to change that narrative and let them understand that it's easier to destroy than to build, but we should all be working together in synergy to build a better tomorrow for all of us. Let's not try to do so by destructions. And that is where the issue of mob action comes in too. Mob action, once you have a crowd and a mob, it becomes very difficult to control. All you need is just one person to be unruly and throw a stone or damage property. And group psychology is such that what individuals will ordinarily not do if they were alone by themselves. When there is a mob action and someone has just started it, you find a chain reaction. And other people may join in who ordinarily in their rational minds will not have carried out this type of action. And that's why we have to be extremely careful, because it's quite alarming to see cars being burnt in Abuja, the prison being attacked in Benin, and so many other cases where mob action is beginning to take place, because that is not healthy for every one of us, including the protesters.
I'd just like to ask you, psychologically, I mean, as a psychologist or psychiatrist, I should say, what should the government, what kind of messages should the government be telling the youth now to be able to at least, let's start to temper things down? What should be the message that will not anger them despite what is on ground? I mean, a lot of them are out of jobs, like you say. They're hopeless. They feel, they've been let down by the government. What should the government at least start to say to them that will even make them want to come to the table and both of them will have a common ground?
Thank you very much. I think I'm just going to quote you from the last segment where you said that the government should communicate. The president should come out and be a father. Communication is key, and personal communication is very important. We are human beings. It conveys a feeling of respect and dignity to say, I understand your pain. I hear you loud and clear. These problems will take a long time, but we can assure you that we will do our very best to address them. And starting immediately, these are the concrete steps with timelines that we are going to take to address some of these concerns. It's not enough to say we accept the 5-point demand, we are working on it, we've set up a committee. Nigerians have lost hope in committees. As I mentioned, I'm a university lecturer. I'm sure every time ASU hears they will set up a committee, we just, same language. We know what that means. Okay, to take another 3 years and another strike to revisit what that committee agreed to do. It's not encouraging, and it's not reassuring to the youth to say you set up a committee. that's Nigerian government speak for we will throw it under the carpet. And I think what the government needs to do is to tangentially, frontally meet, address the nation, address young people, and reassure them and give them hope. I think that's what we need to do.
Well, Dr. Abdulmalik, I referred earlier to the fact that mental health care has all of a sudden in the context of this NSAS protest become popular. And I quoted the press 456 on the helpline that was announced by the Feminist Coalition as focusing on mental health emergencies. But I would like you to comment a bit on the policy environment for mental health in Nigeria. The operative law, to the best of my knowledge, is still the Lunacy Act of 1958, derived from the Lunacy Ordinance of 1916. And then, of course, since 2013, there have been attempts to come up with a mental health act that is in line with WHO regulations. But nobody is focusing on that. Also, do we even have up to 120 psychiatrists in Nigeria? How many psychiatric nurses do we have? So when we talk about mental health, does Nigeria generally even have the enabling framework to be able to attend to the mental health of Nigerians, even beyond the NSAS, NSWAT campaign?
Sir, I'm giving you a virtual hug from here. That's absolutely spot on. Thank you so much. The problems we have in Nigeria is the absence of governance framework. Thank you so much. We are operating a lunacy law from 1958 that we inherited from the British. Since then, the British government has revised their mental health legislation 13 times, and we are still operating the same Lunacy Act that we inherited from them. Even the name lunacy is an obsolete terminology that makes one cringe and embarrassed and, ashamed. The National Assembly should urgently, and we are grateful that the current chairman of the Senate Committee on Health, Senator Dr. Yahaya Oloriegbe, has been personally championing the cause of the mental health bill now. It has gone through first reading, second reading, has had public hearing in February. We are hoping that it will have a third hearing and that it will then be sent to the president for assent after harmonization with the houses. It is long overdue. We know in Nigeria, recently, a few months back, there were arrests in Kaduna, Ilorin, Ibadan, and several places of human beings, Nigerian citizens, in 2020, being chained, beaten, tortured, all sorts of atrocities because they have mental health problems. These are the problems we have. Secondly, we do not have enough mental health professionals. Very few. We think that we have about 200. That is less than one psychiatrist to 1 million Nigerian citizens. And we have even fewer clinical psychologists. And when you have this, meanwhile, let's not forget that globally, there is a rise in the prevalence of mental health problems, suicide, drug abuse, and so on. And Nigeria is not exempt. In fact, Nigeria is even at greater risk because of our hardships and stressors and so on. Yet, we are not addressing this as a national emergency. Let's not go leave it at the federal level. Let's go to the states. At the state level, out of 36 states in Nigeria, only 5 states have a desk officer for mental health at their state ministry of health. Lagos State led the way, and applause to Lagos State for being number 1. Lagos State also has a state mental health policy and a state mental health law. Lagos State is leading the way, and we are praying that other states will also follow suit because you can make impact even at the state level. So these are the problems, and I really, really hope and pray that our government at every level will appreciate that you cannot just improve the health of Nigerians by focusing on physical health alone. That will be 33.3% of health as defined by WHO. What about the other 66.6%? Mental health, social well-being. We need to pay attention to this. And I would also like to quickly mention that that the Asido Foundation is an NGO that promotes mental health awareness. And I'm very happy to be part of that. And we are doing an Unashamed 2020 campaign, which aims to promote better understanding around mental health. No more shame, no more stigma. We are hoping 1 million Nigerians will visit the website and take a pledge to be positive advocates for mental health. And we hope that that will stimulate the government to also pay more attention to the mental health of our citizens. And we have a conference in 2 days' time on Thursday, virtual conference, Unashamed 2020 conference. If you want details, please visit any of the social media handles at Asido Foundation, ASIDO Foundation, and get more details. But these and many more are the things that we need to do to improve the health, especially mental health of our citizens in Nigeria.
Thank you, Doctor. Can you take that name again of the website and the handles so that our viewers don't miss it?
Thank you so much. www.asido Foundation, Asido is ASIDO, foundation.com/unashamed 2020. So if you visit that website, you'll take the pledge and you'll find other details about the conference that we will be having, virtual conference on Thursday, the 22nd of this month, to talk about, we are bringing distinguished speakers from a broad spectrum of, from entertainment, from the media, to talk about Nigeria's mental health and how we should be moving the arrow forward to improve things for all of us as citizens. Thank you.
I want to go back to a point you made earlier about how our families are becoming more like nuclear families. This issue that's causing the protests that we're seeing amongst the youth does affect us all. You gave a more generous estimate of 200 psychiatrists in Nigeria. What I've read from the WHO is actually 150. You've seen the mass exodus of a lot of your colleagues. A lot of Nigerians from all walks of life and different disciplines have also left these shores. And that also plays into mental health. A lot of people are feeling really isolated in Nigeria. If you need help, you can't necessarily turn to your siblings or your children in most cases because they've gone off to Canada or wherever else it is. So we then start to rely on religion. Can we talk about the role that religion plays and the limitations of religion in mental health issues?
Thank you very much. This is very important. Religion and spirituality, let me take it that way, can be a two-edged sword. It can either cut for us or it can cut us. It can be helpful where it gives you social support and gives you that hope. Remember, I mentioned hope as a very important ingredient for optimism and for emotional well-being. So it can give hope. It can provide you with a network, a social community that rally around you when you have low moments or you are having challenges and difficulties. But, and this is a big but, the way we practice religion in Nigeria many times becomes very harmful to our emotional well-being. There is a lot of pressure. You must be in this committee, you must be in that committee, you must do this, you must do that. Why didn't you come tomorrow? Why didn't you come yesterday? And all of it. Such that at the end of the day, it becomes another emotional stressor for many individuals, where they don't want to let down the man of God or the committee members and so on, yet they are tired. They have no time for their families, and it becomes another stressor. Another way in which religion sometimes is used politically in Nigeria that is negative is also to divide people, to say us versus them, and preach animosity, preach divisiveness, and so on. And that also is not helpful. It's emotionally distressing. And that also fuels anger and hatred, bitterness, and does not promote good societal well-being. And that's why you find that in many developed countries today, such as in the UK and some other European countries, you find that clergy are certified and the content of what they preach are screened and paid attention to, because the pulpits or the minbar for the Muslims, the platform that religious leaders stand on is a very powerful tool that can be used either for nation building or for, unfortunately, destroying the fabric that should hold us together as a people and promote our emotional well-being. And I think very seriously that needs to be paid attention to. The clergy needs to be carried along by the government. Their roles need to be emphasized, and they need to be aware of the enormous weight of responsibility they carry.
Right, real quickly.
Yes, please.
Okay, real quickly, I just wanted to talk about a trend that has increased in Nigeria lately, the trend of suicide. What do you have to say about that? And what can you say to anybody watching us now that may be contemplating suicide?
Right. Thank you very much. This, unfortunately, is a global trend that we are also seeing in Nigeria, and it's becoming more clear. It's becoming clearer because there is social media. Some people say suicide is not in our culture. That is a big lie. I mean, the Yoruba mythology, Sango, the god of thunder, is reported to have died from suicide. Things fall apart. Okonkwo died from suicide. If these things were not part of our culture, they will not be reflected in our folklore and our mythology. What I would like to say to everybody who is depressed, unhappy, and having suicidal thoughts today is to say that there is help out there. These are fleeting emotional turmoil, pain, anguish that you are going through, or you can get help. It's like wearing a dark sunshade. If you wear a dark sunshade, everything you see will look black and gloomy. What you need to do is to get the treatment that will help you remove the dark sunshade so that you can see life in her true vivid colors and appreciate it for what it is. Most of the time, it is as a result of depression, which is a medical disorder, a mental health problem that can be treated, and you will recover and get back to live normal, productive, happy, fulfilling life. So please hang in there and talk to someone, seek for treatment. There are many NGOs that have helplines, even if you don't want to go to a government hospital and so on. Call a helpline, Mentally Aware Nigeria Initiative, Asido Foundation. They all have helplines that you can speak to a mental health professional. Nigerians are trying as citizens, as NGOs, to bridge the gap to help people who are in emotional distress. Please avail yourself of that opportunity. Don't give up. Hang in there, talk to someone, and I can assure you that tomorrow will definitely be better than the pain you are going through today.
Well, Dr. Abdulmalik, thank you very much. We don't have any more time, although I would have loved to ask you whether, in fact, what we're witnessing in Nigeria is not a case of collective psychogenic illness, because it is possible for a whole community to begin to exhibit psychotic tendencies. We may speak at the individual level, but how do you deal with collective hysteria, the type that we're beginning to see on the streets?